All right, secret formula to success. It's very, very simple. At least it looks very, very simple. So it's P plus P plus P equals P. Okay? Okay? So I'm gonna cut those into the 4 stages that they are, but the goal is getting to the profits. Okay, to the profits. So the first thing that we want to have is positioning. Positioning. Okay, I will go through every one of those, but for right now, just let's write it down. Okay, positioning plus promotion plus a process. I could have called it a system, but then it won't be nice. Okay, but you understand, right? Process is actually a system. Sorry, this is equal. Okay, positioning plus promotion plus process equals profits. This is a simple formula, which all you need to do is how to get your positioning right, get your promotion right, get your process right, and then you get the profits. Okay, it's not. The words are not too complicated, right? That's the formula. If you have it, then I can turn page and we can start with going into the stages. But this is how we create profits in every business. I didn't see any business that doesn't work this way. Okay, maybe there are something, but I don't think that any one of your businesses works differently. The system or the formula will work for any business. Okay, especially, by the way, especially for businesses that are driven by personality. Most of your businesses are driven by personality. If you're a consultant, an advisor, and a coach, a trainer, a therapist, whatever it is, healer, then your personality is important there. I mean, if you're selling in a shop, in a bookstore, then your personality is less important, although we will show you that if your personality will be the right one, then you will sell more also there, and you will be more profitable. Okay? So this fits for every business, but if your business is more based on personality, then that's kind of the ultimate goal. So let's start with the goal in mind, okay, or with the end in mind. The end in mind is profits, right? We want to increase our profits, right? Yes. Anybody wants to increase your profits? Yes. I don't hear you. Anybody wants to increase your profits? Yes. All right, cool. Cool. So there are 2 things you can do to immediately increase your profits. 2 things, okay? I'm not going to write everything there, so whatever you think is important, you write it for yourself. So there are 2 ways or 2 things you can do to immediately increase your profits. First of all, you can sell more stuff, right? If you sell more stuff, you will see more profits. Maybe not percentage profits, but, more in the bank. This is called the improvement of the process. Okay, how do I sell more stuff? So what can you do in order to sell more stuff? Give me some examples. Just throw them. Have more products, yes, it's a possibility. Get more leads, yes, get more leads or do more acquisition, absolutely. What else? Affiliates. Get some affiliates so get other people to sell for you. What else? Doing upsell for that. I'm going to go a little bit simpler for that. For the main things that you can do, the easiest thing you can do is, first of all, you can get more leads. Okay, whatever way. I mean, it can be affiliates, referrals, other people selling for you, it doesn't matter, but getting more leads, that's one way. The other one is to improve the conversion of your opt-in process, whatever it is. You get people on your list or on your, or wherever, you improve the conversion. So there's a lot of experts out there that will tell you, listen, if you will put the register button instead of in orange, put it in green, you will get 0.05% more conversion, so more people will do that. Okay, people once told me, when you're writing all those prices on the board, when you give an offer, if you will not use the red pen, you will probably improve your conversion. Don't know if it's true or not, but those are incremental improvement. Does that make sense? How those are improvement of conversion. Another improvement of conversion can be the improvement conversion of your sales page or your promotion material or your sales presentation when you're going on a meeting for that, whatever it is. If you can do something better there, and we're working on that all the time. I mean, it's not that it's not valid, but you want those are incremental improvements. Okay, if you do them. And that's where most of the companies and most of the business owners are focusing on, is improving the process in order to get in order to sell more, in order to get more profits. Unfortunately, this is the least profitable place to focus, at least at the beginning. When your system works fantastic, when everything is right, then you should focus on this. But at the beginning, this is the least profitable place to do. There's much easier way to increase your profits. Anybody's interested? Yes. Get more money for each sale. This is way number 2. Get more money for each sale. See, the fastest way to increase your bottom line is to increase your prices. The fastest way to affect your bottom line is to increase your prices. Assuming that, because what most of you are sitting there, and I mentioned that also in the Master Entrepreneur, I could see then the energy goes, yeah, because if I will increase my prices, I will lose my the amount of people, right? Assuming that everything else stays the same. You still get the same client, the same conversion, the same everything, but the prices are higher, what will happen to your profits? Right? So if I double my price, but everything else stays the same, I don't lose anybody, I get the same amount of clients and everything. If I just double my prices, what will happen to my profits? I double them. Is that clear? Actually, it will be more than that because usually you don't double the cost, right? But for sure, we're going to grow. Okay, so this is interesting because what happens is that this process doesn't take time. Most of you can go change your prices today, tonight, or right now. Right? Imagine that you were at a restaurant and you had your prices on the menu. All you have to do is to go to your price list on a Word, change the prices, click print, and in the evening just put the new menus and see what happens. Okay, this is instantaneously. A process, when you change the process, it takes time. How do I get more leads? How do I change more conversion? I need to do testing and everything. Here you don't. You just add a 0 to the prices or double it or whatever it is, and you immediately see results, instantly see results. So this is what I'm trying to say. Prices might be interesting to work on. That's what I'm saying. That's what we're going to start looking at, how we do that. Okay, right now. Okay, so there are 3 things that you can do in order to control price. Probably there are more, but the 3 main things that I can think of that you can control the price. Okay, and you want to write it down because I will suggest one of those ways or 2 of those ways, but you have 3 ways. Okay, the first thing you can do is you can control the supply and demand, like they do, for example, in the oil industry or in the diamond industry, right? In the oil industry, the companies, I don't know today, but in the past, what they used to do when they wanted to raise their prices, what did they say? I'm giving you less oil, right? So there's less supply. There's less supply, there's more demand, prices can go up. So if you have the power to control supply and demand, you have the ability to control the price, okay? This is not so easy, depends on the industry. I mean, if you're in the oil industry and you're an Arab sheikh, you know, and yeah, then you can probably do that. And if you're in the diamond industry, you can probably do that. But what is interesting is that the third industry that it's actually easy to do that is in the information industry. If you have information that other people don't have, if you have expertise that other people don't have, you're exactly like in the oil industry and the diamond industry. You can decide to make it as available or as less available as possible. And one of the things that Jay Abraham told me the first time that we started talking about him, he says, you're making yourself too cheap. And I said, why? And he says, because you're working with 2,000 people at a time. Just stop doing it. Just say from now on, no group is above 100 people, and you can charge whatever you want. I didn't like it. I didn't do it, but he has a point. He says, as long as you're going to open the doors for thousands of people, and it doesn't matter how much you charge, you will always be cheap. As soon as you say, no, I'm exclusive, think about Cambridge or Oxford or these kind of universities. I mean, what do? They just tell you, we only have a place for 100 new students a year or whatever it is. And everybody is flocking to them, paying as much as they want, and they get the best quality students. I can do the same by just saying I'm working just with 100 people at a time. I wouldn't lose money probably, because if today we're charging for 1,000 people, we're charging 100 euros, I could charge for 100 people 1,000 euros, and I would get them. Would you agree? And I probably could get 10,000 people 10 people paying 10,000 euros. Would you agree? So money-wise, it doesn't make a lot of difference. So this is something to think about. Many of you actually are in the oil and diamond industry. I still think this is not the best way to do that, but it's possible for you. It's available for you. It's not out there. You don't have to be an Arab Czech. If you have an expertise, if you have something that people want and other people don't have it, and if you don't have it, what can you do? Create it. Yes, create it. Be specialized in something that nobody else has. And now suddenly you are in that position. But this is one thing. The second thing you can do is to change your positioning. Okay, this is the first step here. Change your positioning. And I'll give you one example which you might know or might not know. But quite a few years ago came a new cola into the market. You know, there was Coca-Cola, Pepsi Cola, all the other cola, and there came another cola, okay, called Red Bull. And they couldn't compete. They couldn't compete. And they wanted to figure out, how do I charge for a can of cola a lot more money than Pepsi and Coca-Cola are charging? And what they did is they didn't change anything in the content, they changed their positioning. And they said, we are not a cola drink, we are an energy drink. They invented a word that was not existing before that, energy drink. And for those of you who don't know, the content of Red Bull is very similar to the content of Coca-Cola. It's the same caffeine and sugar and everything else, just a little bit of different formula for different tastes. But it's a cola drink that they called it an energy drink. And as a result of that, for those of you who don't know, they are in the can of Coca-Cola, you have 330 milliliter. In a can of a Red Bull, you have what? 200 or 250? Okay, right? But the price is 2 times or 3 times of Coca-Cola. Why? Because they changed their positioning. And we'll see how you can do that too. This is so much easier than to control demand and supply. Okay, changing your positioning. Who are you? What are you? Are you a coach? Well, then you charge prices of a coach. Can you be something else? Are you a graphic designer? Well, there are prices for graphic designers. I think many of you heard the story of one of my students about in the Write Your Book course. I'm not going to go into the whole process, but a book has a positioning. As a result of that, it has a price. A book can be sold in a bookstore for how much? 20 euros, 18 euros, 24 euros, 25. That's it. You cannot charge 500 euros for this book. Nobody buy, right? But if you put the same book, instead of putting it this way on an A5 with a printed cover, if you put it as a A4 pages, one-sided, printed on, not printed even, photocopied on a Xerox machine, right? And having it in a folder, in a map with some black and white kind of a cover that says the same name, but it calls it a manual. Now you can charge any amount of what you want because you changed the positioning. And this guy sold for 1,000 euro the same amount, the same book that he wanted to sell this way, but nobody would buy it. He called it a manual instead of a book, sold it for 1,000 euro and sold 900 and something books in a year. That's almost 1 million. Okay, positioning. Okay, no difference in the content whatsoever, but positioning. You want to be in a different positioning than most of the others. We'll talk about it. That's a big part of today. So the third thing, we're talking about 3 things that you can do to control your price. So the first one is you can control the supply and demand. The second thing is you can control your positioning, which is very, very easy. You just need to know how to do it. And the third one is you can change the value of your product or service. And this is, I hope, what I'm going to share with you right now about value is going to open your mind to something totally different. I want to say blow your mind, but that's putting expectations too high. Okay, but this is really cool. So which one from all those 3 is the most difficult to do? The first one, right? Changing supply and demand is the most difficult to do. What to do? Okay, positioning is a lot easier, and we'll talk about it throughout most of this first session. But the element that affects the price the most from all those 3, the one that affects the price the most is the value of the product or the service. But it's not the value that you think about. We're talking about value all the time. We're talking about the value in the business bootcamp, in Master Entrepreneur, in every other training. But I'm talking about a value that we don't talk about usually. Okay? And I want to give you the value formula. Okay? Now, this is a formula that I created. I hope you can handle that. It goes like this. PV plus AV equal TV, and not the TV that we are used to. Okay, is that clear? Yeah. There are some smart people in the room. They're already clear. All right. You want to write it down, okay? Or you know what, I'll put it down for you. PV stands for practical value. Practical value. AV stands for added value. And TV stands for? Very good. Total value. Total value. Now, practical value. What is practical value? Practical value is what your product or service actually does. Okay, actually does. So if you have a pen, if you're manufacturing a pen or marker like that, that writes much longer than any other similar pen, then you have more practical values than other pens. Is that clear? Because it has practical functionality. Okay? If your weight loss program helps people lose weight faster and easier than other weight loss programs, then that's a practical value of your weight loss program. Are we clear? Okay, that's the practical value. Okay? Added value is an unseen value. It's the perceived value. It's how people perceive the value of your product or service. And it's created mainly by positioning and promotion, which this is the main part of today. Yeah? So added value is an unseen value. It's a perceived value that people perceive about your product or service, that it's done mainly by positioning and promotion. I usually make it as a joke, but those nose markers are a good example. There is a perceived value, there's an added value in this pen, and that says that the bigger the pen, the better the trainer. That's a perceived value in the eyes of trainers, especially those trainers that learned with us, because that's how I teach it. Okay? It's not the bigger, but the thicker. Okay? The thicker the marker, the better the trainer. We kind of say it's a phallic symbol for male trainers, at least. But imagine that was true and not a joke. That's a perceived value that makes it more valuable than a pen that is maybe writing for the same length and have the same material and everything, but is thinner. Does that make sense? Okay, I'll give you more example about it. What is important for me that you get, and the important thing that you will write, is that the money is in the added value. It's not in the practical value. All of you are focusing on the practical value of your product or service, but that's not where the money is.